think you should be able to see my screen now. If you can, let me know in the chat. That would be awesome. You can see. Perfect. Welcome to the Achievement Accelerator. This is a masterclass. It'll be just about 40 minutes or so. And we're going to be going over how something done is a win and perfectionism is a trap. So I'm Kristina. I am the founder and coach for Neurodivergent Ventures. And I always like to start off with a question. I would love to hear what brought you here today. And if you would be up for dropping that in the chat, that would be great. If there's a specific project, habit, or task that you've been sitting on specifically, it's important as we go into this work that we have an intention in mind. And so I want you to just take a moment and think about, is there a project or something that I've been waiting to launch until it's perfect timing? And what are we waiting on? So if you have that, either written down or in the chat. A little bit about me. I am the founder and owner of Neurodivergent Ventures, lead coach over the year, and my main goal and focus is to help people and organizations build systems that support follow-through, productivity, and leadership. A lot of those things align. I am a firm believer that to have a great wellness program with your employees and with your teams and with yourself, that includes having amazing systems that support the work that you do. And if you make things harder on yourself, it's going to impact you in areas that you never thought it would. So my specialty is on neurodivergent brains. And so this is especially for folks with fast, busy, or differently wired brains. So one of the things in the chat is everything I've got planned for my business growth. I'm an eternal planner. I just can't seem to take action. I relate to that so much because a long time ago, I shouldn't say a long time ago, I also still struggle with planning in perpetuity until I really embraced messy action. So this is definitely a very simple masterclass for you so you can get started. Thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about why this matters. So perfectionism, typically people feel like it is a good thing. And I'm here to tell you it is really procrastination in makeup. And it's disguised as a delay. People often feel like I need to get this exactly right. I need to start my website. I need to get my social. I need to make sure my logo is right. When reality sets in is that starting is the best thing to do. 66% of workplaces say perfectionism does block performance. And the only statistic or the only stat where perfectionists exceed expectations is actually with burnout. So typically, when perfectionists are compared to non-perfectionists in the workplace, employers can't really tell the difference between the two's output. Yes, perfectionists typically work longer hours, but their output and the quality of work does not match. So what happens is that instead of us taking action, we're actually missing opportunities. And so when it comes to your business or when it comes to your career, leaning on perfectionism actually is not the best thing to do. You have lost revenue, you have lost opportunities, and ultimately lost decisions because by not making a decision and moving, you're making a decision not to act. So I think it's important to talk about what perfectionism looks like for you, because a big part of breaking habits and in focusing on intentions of not focusing on planning and not taking action is knowing when you're in it. That is the hardest part because planning is key. Planning is important. Planning helps us move forward with momentum and intensity, but also doing it in a way that is in alignment with what we're trying to achieve. Planning has a place. It cannot be the place we live in perpetuity. So what does it look like? It can look like overthinking that email until you miss the moment where it's passed. Perfectionism can look like avoiding a task because you want it exactly perfect. It can also be waiting for more information. And this is something that I personally struggle with, is wanting to have all the information I possibly can before I jump. And life doesn't work that way. Yes, we can learn as we go, and we can wait for certain key information items. Like when I started my business, I set 4 specific goals, and once I hit it, it was time to jump. And I did. But man, it was hard. So sometimes we sit there and we're waiting so much on certain clarity that we start to struggle even more. I want you to think about how you default. So the key thing that we mentioned is that identifying where perfectionism gets you stuck is key, but also what it can look like on the other side. So there's 2 paths. We've got the perfectionism path, we've got the momentum builder path. And what's interesting is that people often think of achievement in these massive leaps. Even on the logo I use, it's like the Achievement Accelerator Masterclass, right? You've got somebody leaping across like a mountain or something really huge. The reality is that achievements happen in small steps. So the perfectionist path tells you to delay start. Don't go yet. The momentum builder area focuses on starting with small 10-minute tiny actions. Perfectionist focuses on waiting for clarity versus building clarity through action, seeing how stuff works. This is how people learn to cook in a kitchen. This is how you learn to parent. This is how you learn to run your business in a way that makes sense for your health and for your goals. Building through action. Fears of being wrong. Lots of perfectionism comes in for me. I don't know about y'all, but perfectionism really hits me hard when I'm worried about being wrong. Even I still, sometimes imposter syndrome can come into that too, of course, but fearing of being wrong does hold us back. And learning how to learn in front of people and publicly is an action moving you forward, because you start to see data in early mistakes, what's working and what's not. Stacey, you definitely feel that. The fears of being wrong and being seen being wrong. And very last, but not least, the perfectionist path leads to burnout, where we're left with a dream in our hands and no momentum, and we either have to pivot or put it down for a moment. And who knows how long that could be. And I'm not trying to fearmonger here. I'm saying the reality is that oftentimes when we try to be perfect, what that results in is us needing to take a step back to rest. So as you are moving through, instead of focusing on perfectionism, we want flow and recovery opportunities. Because if you are focused on small incremental building, you have way less chance of completely burning out. What does that look like in practice? Is that on the next slide? I got to learn this. Okay, it's not. So the example that I want to give you is whenever anybody is, yeah, Jasmine, thanks. Whenever anybody is in a situation where they are wanting to run a marathon, a half marathon, or a 5K. Yes, there are people who can jump right into the marathon day of or week of and be fine. I put that in air quotes because they're going to be sore for a while afterwards. But there's so many small steps that happen along the way. There's figuring out what food looks like, water intake, calories, carbs, buying proper socks and shoes. Those are small actions that take people to that finish line. You can't, like I said, some people can jump into that marathon and be fine on the marathon day, but they're going to feel it the next day if they're not going to be injured. So if your goal is to get to a certain spot, either have a 5K or saving $10,000 or losing weight or gaining control of your fibromyalgia, I have one of my clients in the Achievement Lab where her goal one cohort ago was to improve the time that she uses during her day to support her chronic illness. It wasn't to get a new job or to launch a business. It was to have time for herself so she can do the things she needs to do to take care of herself so she can continue to be successful. That is what she focused on. So through small steps, she was able to have flow and recovery versus going into burnout. So that is what we're going to continue to talk on today. And ultimately, what that leads to sometimes when we're not taking it one step at a time, we end up stuck. I feel that after working in corporate. I worked in corporate in and around for about 20 years. And oftentimes I would lean on the thought that I needed more willpower. And I'm here to tell y'all that that is a bunch of BS. You don't need more willpower. You need less friction. You need to make things easier to achieve. This is very common for neurodivergent brains or somebody maybe going through grief or trauma. Our executive functioning feels, or we see other people doing certain things, and we feel we need to do it exactly how other people do it too. And really, all it does in certain instances is causes a lot of friction. I went through Hurricane Helene last year, and I thought that I should be able to jump right back into my exercise regimen. I was not. I was not ready for that. It was too much. And so I had to scale it back. And it wasn't about willpower. I had to figure out how to make less friction in my life to make it happen. So let's talk about how you do that. So I'm all about simplicity here. None of this stuff is going to be brand new. I'm going to be very straightforward with you. I am the type of coach that focuses on simplicity is best. I do a lot of research. I read a lot of high performance books. And a lot of it comes down to this: doing research on high performance habits, talking with people and surveying people who were high performers. They noticed that there were 3 specific things that they all had in common. One is they had their goal. They knew where they were going. Number 2, they knew the steps to take to get there incrementally, like down to the small details. It doesn't mean they planned the entire thing. It means that they knew that the small choices that they made along the way helped them move forward. The habits of slowly getting up earlier and earlier in the morning, so eventually they get to 4:30 a.m. so they can go on a 6-mile run before work instead of jumping right into a lifestyle change. They knew what their goal was, the habits that support it, and finally, they also focused on identity-based habits. So that's what we're going to focus on here to start. We're going to talk about clarifying the goal. Where are you going? What do you want to achieve? I believe in the chat, yeah. So Stacy, you were saying you've got everything planned for your business growth. You're an internal planner. So I would say, what is your main goal? Like, where are you going? And we want to be specific. And step 2 is list 2 to 3 tiny things that you want to achieve. And I'm talking about these 2 to 3 tiny steps you should be able to complete in 10 minutes each. So as we are going through, oftentimes when people are setting up goals and setting up tasks, even when they're planning their week, they say, complete project. That's too big. If you're trying to launch a product, let's be specific. Do you need an outline? Would you benefit from sitting down and the first step is getting out a sheet of paper, step 1. Step 2 is finding the pen that you like. Step 3 is lighting the candle that helps turn your brain on to deep work. And maybe the step after that is setting yourself 10 minutes on a visual timer to say, after I'm going to spend 10 minutes of getting everything out of my brain and logging it on the sheet for my next steps for my launch. We need small, tiny steps. Step number 3 for clarity, simplicity, and motion is all about your space and how you're going to achieve it. To create a friction-free space, you need to be aware about how your perfectionism comes in. Maybe perfectionism as well as some other friction points. For me, that looks like time blocking and body doubling. I need those 2 tools. I assign time to say Monday mornings, this is what we do in the Achievement Lab. Monday mornings Eastern from 10 to noon, we have co-working where we do Pomodoros. We say what we're going to do at the beginning of the 25 minutes. At the end, we check in. How far did we get? What are some friction points we're experiencing? We take a 5-minute break and we start over. That body doubling and time blocking helps me gain momentum in small bursts throughout the morning and moves me in the right direction for the week. And that's one of the things and one of the tools that I use to lessen the friction in my morning, because I have to come and be accountable to the other people in the lab. Clarify your goal. Where are you going? List 2 to 3 tiny actions. Each action should take no longer than 10 minutes. Small steps. Time blocking and body doubling are the examples that I use to lessen the friction of getting started. Okay. Why in the world does this work? So we focus a lot on resistance. Our brains don't like change. If you do like change, this masterclass is not for you. If you do great with change in every single area of your life and never had any friction with change, I'm not your person. But ultimately, tiny steps reduce that resistance. Our brains as humans, even if we support the direction of the change, we fight it. And that is important to acknowledge. Also, we don't trust ourselves most of the time. We talk about how we are eternal planners. We talk about how we are perfectionists and we want the design to be just right. What happens is that we end up not trusting ourselves at all to complete something, to get to that last part. And so that is why those small 2 to 3 steps in alignment with the goal are critical. Because it helps you move with confidence, because they're more manageable than large chunks at a time. Your brain honestly is wired for momentum, and it's not meant for perfection. That is something that is instilled in us. We want to keep a project moving. We want to keep our work moving. Maybe it's to paint your room, redo a part of your house. We want that momentum, and perfectionism does hold us back. Okay. We've talked about how to gain that momentum through clarity, simplicity, and action. Now I want to talk about your energy blueprint. Tomorrow, when I send out this recording, I'll also give you a link to a very simple energy management template so you can learn and start tracking your energy, but we'll get into that. Your personal energy blueprint. I spent years in marketing, so that's just marketing speak for saying you need to know a part of your job as an adult human is to base when you do work based on when your energy is at its best. What does that even mean? So oftentimes when people are scheduling out, I do the exercise with new clients of let's set out your ideal day. What would that look like on a weekday? What would that look like on a weekend? They pace it as if their energy should be the same at 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. We know that our energy ebbs and flows throughout the day. And if you've got ADHD on top of that, or if you have autism and ADHD, your energy can vastly peak and valley, depending on how you're managing it. But for everyone, our energy ebbs and flows throughout the day, throughout the week, and especially for people with uterus, throughout the month. So if you plan based off of time only, that leads to burnout. But if you plan also based on how your energy flows, that is where you get true results. If you know that you've got 2 days during the month where you have no energy, let's not launch a product on those days. Be mindful of that. So moving with your own momentum is key here. So I want to know, pop it in the chat, when is your best window during the day for focus time? Is it in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Is it in the middle of the night? When is your best window for focus? Let me know in the chat. I love morning. Morning. Is it early morning or is it 9 o'clock? After coffee. Jasmine, late at night. I understand that. Sometimes we have peaks in our focus because that's our only quiet time. Revenge bedtime is real. And some of us are just night owls and some of us are early morning people. Mine ebbs and flows. It really depends on how I'm feeling. Throughout the week, usually on Wednesdays, I have a peak where I have more focus going into the evening. It's just the way my week energy flows. This is also why I have master classes typically on Wednesdays twice a month. So knowing when your energy and when your focus is best during the day is important. So lately it seems to be early in the morning, 3 to 6 a.m. I feel like there might be a story there with hormones. As somebody who's gone through perimenopause and menopause, early in the morning sometimes are those hormones waking us up. It definitely does. So take a note of that. How could you use that time either for yourself, for your business, for your work, for where it makes sense. You know when you work best, when you have the best focus. Now I want you to think about how to match your energy to your tasks. This is a strategy that successful people use, and a lot of people don't know to even implement. So I want you to think about tasks that take high mental capacity and things that you enjoy but require a lot of mental energy. So for me, it looks like this. When I am really high energy, I want to be strategic and creative. I'm making videos, I'm writing scripts, I'm outlining new courses, I'm updating existing master classes, I'm reviewing my strategies, I'm reviewing analytics and coming up with next steps. That is high energy Kristina. Low energy Kristina is in very comfortable clothes, typically a green zip-up hoodie and sweatpants or loose pants, and sitting on the couch with my laptop. I've got a really random show that I know all too well in the background that I don't have to listen to. And that is when I do low energy tasks. That's when I do tax stuff for my accountant. That's when I do email. That's when I do administrative work. And that is low energy. And typically that happens on Sunday afternoon or Saturday. And so I know that as my energy ebbs and flows, what I can do throughout the week. So for me, Thursdays are typically when my energy is zapped by the evening. I have nothing left. So Fridays are a really exhausting day for me. I usually have a lot of clients. One-on-one is fine, but I have to manage my energy highs and lows throughout the week based on when I can be creative and when I do my best in coaching. So I'm interested to know what this looks like for you. So is there a high energy task that you know takes a lot of brain power, you enjoy it, but it takes a lot out of you? You need to be on your A game. That could be something that you pair with the time where you're able to really focus. So I want you to write those down. I'll be sending you tomorrow with the recording a very simple sheet that does go over this that you can fill out for yourself too. So you can also map out your energy tasks and matching your energy to your tasks, I should say. So the last thing on this slide, of course, is don't cram your brilliance into your worst hours. So if you have opportunities to really optimize how you work, even for personal, really take advantage of it. And don't give your best and everything you have into one area of your life, because you need to be able to also have mental and physical energy for other life domains to be successful. That's a different masterclass, but as a little side in there. So it's no secret that I have ADHD. And if you have a fast brain, whether you're diagnosed or not, ADHD, autism, dyslexia, neurodivergent, it's not insurmountable working through perfectionism, task initiation, or anything like that. Basically, a lot of these are different things that happen in your brain, right? My dyslexia has me seeing different type of pattern recognitions, lots of different creativity. It also does systems thinking, and my ADHD also has a lot of empathy and creativity. It also has a lot of impulsivity. So making sure that as we go through our energy map, knowing that we also have some of those differences happening in our brain potentially. So for me, for ADHD, something that I remember is that as my energy tanks, so does my executive function. So that is why my low energy tasks are email responses, administrative, and taking pictures of receipts to upload. Because my executive functioning, my project manager, the CEO part of my brain does not function as well. And then high energy, when my ADHD is really high and I'm super hyper, which is usually Monday through Wednesday. Actually, it's usually Sunday through Wednesday. I'm super hyper. And so I try to really put the creative tasks Sunday through Wednesday. And then the rest of the week is chiller, lower energy activities, because my brain does not work as well toward the end of the week. It's not insurmountable. It doesn't mean it never is, but it's not at its best. And I know that. Okay. So let's put this in motion. I'm going to put a couple minutes on the timer, and I want you to think about what is one of your projects or focuses that you've been avoiding. Maybe it's cleaning the garage or closet or organizing your receipts for last year's taxes. And then I want you to think about 2 to 3 micro steps you can take today or tomorrow, and identifying when you will start. Is it today or is it tomorrow? I'm going to give you 2 minutes to get started. I want you to think about a project and then the micro steps. All right, we got Jasmine's in. You have a basket that accumulates work things that needs attention. So that's a project that you've been avoiding. You need to pull out everything of said basket. Yes, pull everything out and then organize it by task and priority. So I would say that those two need to kind of probably be broken out a little bit smaller. Organized by task and priorities a little too high. So pick one for the first. Do you want to focus it on task or priority? Is a place to start. Yeah, cool. Organized by task. And that gives me an idea, because that puts you back over here where you can start identifying if it's by task. Can I break this up? Is it a low energy? Are these low energy or high energy tasks? For me, when I'm low energy, making calls and paying medical bills is a low energy task, which I know is strange because I usually cannot stand making phone calls, but it's probably because when I'm high energy, I have no patience. I don't want to do those things for those types of things. Cool. Anybody else? Okay. And y'all will get this outline. I will send the recording as well as the slides. So y'all will have this too. Okay. And your next step, of course, is identifying when you start. And that brings me to talking about the Achievement Lab. Because yes, this masterclass, it does have selling in it. And you can leave right now if you'd like, and that's not your jam. That's totally okay. But the Achievement Lab is something that I came up with actually the holidays last year. I did a free habit formation group. And what I ultimately realized is that we were focusing on achievement and ways that you can hone in your routines and systems and tools and habits to achieve what you're trying to achieve. It's pretty straightforward. This is just one testimonial. Diana is a mom, and she works from home, and she has her own business. And she came to the Achievement Lab this past spring, and she was very unstructured. She was scattered, and she was getting stuck daily after lunch, just like pausing and not doing the work that she knows she was capable of. And so after that, after the Achievement Lab, she also joined the Power Up Pass. So she would have co-working, and afterwards, she kept her structure, found and tested systems to gain momentum throughout the day, and really focused on her tool development to help with her long-term support to get her business moving, which was really fun to see. So that was one person. And then I did want to bring out Joe, who was a part of a very early cohort. And Joe's biggest thing is that she was really learning how to establish routines as well as long-term goals and how to help her organize them, because she had lots of goals and lots of things that she wanted to achieve and was having a hard time figuring out how to prioritize and move into the direction that she wanted to be in. which was a lot of fun to see. The Achievement Lab is all about the things that we've talked about today, gaining momentum and building where you want to go. It also has aspects of community, other people who understand how difficult it is sometimes to get off the ground and gain that momentum. We also have body doubling throughout the week and coaching. And it really is designed for people who have busy, fast, or really tired brains. So I do only have 20 seats that are going to be a part of the Achievement Lab. We do start the next cohort on the 18th. The first 5 registrations do get a one-on-one, so we can set your intentions and set you on the road to success for the Achievement Lab. And anybody who is on this masterclass or gets the recording until Friday the 8th, you can put in the Done Wins promo code for 20% off of your Achievement Lab membership. And that's $197 paid over the course of 2 months. Or so it's 2 $197 payments. My apologies. What I want to share with you are the things that we focus on just for the first month. So it is over the course of 8 full weeks. Week 1, we set our intentions. We learn about habits and brain science and how they work and how it doesn't work, and how things like the assumption that we should be able to get a habit in 14 days is a myth. It on average takes 66 days. That's actually, fun fact, why the Achievement Lab is 2 months long, is because on average it takes 66 days. And we did see momentum in habit development with all of the previous cohorts, which is awesome. We use momentum maps to track progress. We share intentions on live calls and are accountable to each other. Week 2, we focus on creating daily routines for success, what that looks like at home. Week 3 through 4, we build on that one habit and we layer in another specifically for work or business. We talk about workday systems as well as what to do when you get on or what to do when you get off track. And so a big part of the Achievement Lab, I call it the lab because there's a lot of testing involved. As you grow in your business, as you grow at work, when you get promotions, when you have children, when you go through, especially any type of transition, your coping strategies don't always work the same. So the lab is here as a space to test, get ideas, but also have some accountability and community for support. We meet on Monday mornings at 9:30 Eastern and then for our weekly kickoff. From 10 to noon on Mondays, we have our co-working. That's where we do the Pomodoros. We have a coaching session where we go and do deep dives on science and what it looks like to take on habits and what that change can look like in your brain and what you can do to support it on Wednesdays at 2:00. And then it's 45 minutes. And then every Friday, we have a weekly planning session where you get out your planner, your calendar, what you want to achieve. We talk about what worked this week, what did not work this week, and what you can do for success this coming week and your goals. So we go through the week gaining momentum, and we have moments and check-ins so that you're able to realign as the week goes on. All those sessions are recorded, so if you miss one, you can go back and watch it as well. So if you've got questions, feel free to reach out to me. Ultimately, what I want you walking away with today is, what is your best next step? Our goal is not perfection. Progress is really what sticks. Getting yourself in a place where you have systems for support will move you faster than motivation ever will. So that is what I had. I would love to answer any questions. You can feel free to come on mute or put it in the chat. Happy to go back and look at a slide or work through a project and thinking about what the next 2 small steps are. Sometimes that's a hard part for people to be able to work through, is figure out how to get tasks really small.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned body doubling, and I hear about it, but I don't really know about it. So can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, so body doubling is the thought that, bye Jasmine, thank you for coming. So body doubling essentially is the idea that you are working with somebody else, either virtually or in person in real life. You're working together on separate tasks. And what that does for your brain, it adds a little urgency, but also adds a little accountability. And because there's 4 things that activate an ADHD brain. So ADHDers do really well with body doubling. urgency, novelty, passion/interest, and competition. And what body doubling can do is it can add some competition a little bit, but it also adds a little bit of an urgency bug. So when you're working with somebody else intentionally, it's kind of like the coffee shop effect. You just work a little bit better.
And this is so when you have your co-working meeting, that's kind of what is going on there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we
Oh.
do. Yeah. So that's what we have on Mondays. And there's usually another scheduled day that varies week to week, but Mondays are pretty firm, or they are firm. They're 10 to noon then on those days. Yeah. And it is very helpful because you're able to be like, okay, these next 25 minutes, I'm focusing on this one task, making this phone call, moving this stuff through. And you're able to have some of that accountability with other people on the call.
Yeah, and I can see where the difference makes. I can sit here and say all day long, I'm going to do this and this, and I don't have anybody looking over. Just have to get done.
Yeah. And sometimes if you work solo, you have to create that intentional space where that accountability lives and have that structure. And that helps you gain that momentum to move forward. Yeah. Great question. Yeah, absolutely. B, did you have any questions or things that you were struggling with when it came to projects and breaking anything down?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Christina. Nice to meet you tonight. Thank you so much for hosting this call. There's just so much of this that's relatable right now when it comes to work, but I also just got married, so I kind of feel like there's a little bit of chaos going on everywhere. So when I think about, Stacy had just asked about the body doubling, the first word I thought of was accountability, right?
Yes.
So I think about when I put stuff in my Outlook calendar because I can't remember anything and it pops up, it's okay, it's a reminder. But now I think about someone who just started in my office this week who I'm training, and I'm training him to know what I know. So then, and I'm keep me honest with the tasks that I'm doing as well. So is that kind of along the same lines when we talk about body doubling?
It is, yeah, especially if you're asking them to be like, hey, I'm going to work on this and this today. That's definitely an accountability. And if you're working near them in some type of proximity, that can definitely be a body doubling with somebody else in your office.
Situation. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
One of my clients, they work in tech. And so they're a founder, and they have not shared that they have ADHD with their co-founders or their staff. But one of the things that they do twice a week is that they have body doubling with their executive assistant. And they spend the first 15 minutes reviewing the priorities for the next 2 days, and then they get started for 45 minutes. And so he's able to kickstart his work, and his executive assistant keeps him on task. But he doesn't have to share or disclose, and they keep stuff moving forward. So you can definitely do that in the workplace for sure.
That's what I definitely sounded very relatable.
Yeah. And especially if you're training somebody else and you're wanting to show them what's going on. And it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions, comments?
No questions, but this is definitely very helpful. Funny because thinking about the project, I already get stuck there because I've got 50,000 things that I want to do. So I really need to take the time to say, okay, what project is going to be the easiest win for me? And then taking it from there. So I really need to think a little bit more about even a starting point. But if I can nail that down, then I can see where taking those small steps, just getting to that, I have to really focus on what is the first thing I need to start, and not let me start 5 things and see what sticks.
And there's 2 things I want to say. One is some days I let my ADHD. And I acknowledge that. There are some times where I'm like, okay, I'm going to give my brain 45 minutes. And that's all it gets to go all over the place. I've already got it documented on what I need to do, but my brain just does not want to behave today. So I give myself some time to misbehave, right? Air quotes. But sometimes it's enough just to let it go a little cray. And so figuring out what types of systems or tools can help you. And so when I'm super hyper, that's my strategy. Especially if I've already done movement for the day and I've already done other types of self-care, that's something that I let myself do. I don't have to do it every week, but when I do, it's necessary. The second thing, Stacey, I would say is remember, we want to identity-based habits are a big part of success. So we want to move away from, of course, the I shoulds and I am somebody who is able to prioritize where I want to move next. I am somebody who could do that. Because I'm hearing a little hesitancy there.
Yes, a lot of hesitancy.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when we have really big things that we're excited about, but we're also very nervous. Do you want to talk through any of them? We've got time.
As far as what I want to do?
Yeah.
Well, I want to start an email list. I want to start offering more, just different things, trying to figure out what is going to provide value and help people. And that's my biggest thing is I went into this, I want to help other people, and I don't really have my specific goal other than that. And
Okay.
the more I think about it, I feel, I don't know where I would go with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things that you want to do. So you talked about what I'm hearing, or what I heard too, was you want to start an email list. So you want acquisition. You want to offer based on value, because you came into this work to help people, right? So when you think about gaining momentum, it sounds like some of the work that you're trying to do is also identifying key ideal client and what you can offer them. Okay. When it comes to email list and sending out emails, where are you with that?
I've decided that I want to do an email list.
Okay.
And I set up an account with MailChimp and then completely overwhelmed from there. And
The overwhelm is real. So this is a great example of us getting stuck and moving on to something else when we hit a roadblock, right? So when you think about MailChimp and getting an email list and being able to send an email, what would be a next step to get you in a space to be able to collect?
I'm not sure. How am I asking for the email?
No, right now you made a MailChimp. You've got a MailChimp account.
Mhm.
You want to be able to send out emails, so you need an email list to send to.
Right.
What do you need on an email list?
Email.
So what do you need to be able to start collecting email addresses to acquire?
I'm not following.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So when we think about small next steps, we want to think about what our goals are. So one of your goals is to send emails out, right?
Mhm.
But we need emails in order to send emails out.
Right.
So you need a way to collect them, right?
Right.
So we want to be able to figure out how can you use MailChimp or your website to start collecting and acquiring email addresses.
Oh, right. So I don't even know how to do that. So that would be my next step, is what you're saying. Figure.
Yeah. So I mean
out how to
that
do that.
so that would be one of those small steps where it's Googling, or even maybe that's even too big. I'm wondering if that's too big. It's figuring out what your resources are right now to be able to start acquiring. So it's like that could be a next step, is saying, what needs to be true for me to acquire email addresses using MailChimp? Opening up a Word doc and putting it in there, getting it all out of your brain. It's like, well, what is my goal? I want to send out emails. What is the platform I use? MailChimp. What questions do I need answered in order to go into MailChimp? Maybe that is your next step, is just writing down all of the questions.
Right. And you had said something, Google document. That right there. I don't know how to use a Google document.
Okay, well, I mean, any
No.
type of, you can open a notebook. Just write out all the questions that you have. That could be a first step. Because what happens is that we're so overwhelmed with our overwhelm, we don't take action.
Yeah. You see what I'm talking about, though?
100%.
Right away.
Yep.
I just blew over everything you said and was like, I don't know how to open up a Google Doc, you know?
That's right. But you're catching yourself.
Right.
So you want to, a big part of stopping the perfectionism is letting yourself figure out, what does messy action look like for me today?
Wow. Messy action. I've got a lot of that. So,
You can lean into it.
yeah.
Perfect. Love it. So, I mean, messy action could be what when it comes to this?
Just starting something. Hey, I know V had put in like social media, just making a post. Hey, I'm going to be starting an email list at some point, you know, let's start collecting emails now.
Love it. That's a great idea. And asking people to DM you. That's messy action right there. Collecting emails based on the DMs or through the DMs. Yeah.
Is there a benefit to having people do that through DM, or is it just an easy way to get there?
It depends on the platform, to be honest. But our goal tonight is to figure out what your actionable next steps are. So we don't want to get too stuck on the strategy, right? If you want to be able to send emails, we want to think about the next steps, because we get stuck on is it best for this or is it best for this? Should I wait until I have a web form created in MailChimp so that it can put acquisitions right onto a list? Or what do I do? And I will tell you that I don't know if they do this anymore, but I used to have MailChimp at a different job or a different contract. And they had weekly B2B trainings like MailChimp 101, where you'd be on with somebody live and you could just see them set up a very simple system.
That's good to know. Help.
Yeah. And I'm sure those are probably recorded somewhere as well. Because they want their clients to be, or their customers to be, successful. So they have a lot of really good content when it comes to training.
Okay.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is to outline your questions, write them down, and messy action it and figure out, to V's point, is what can you do to start acquiring email addresses now? And that could be one of your questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know starting an email list is a rough one. I'll be frank.
Well, I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah.
So I guess this will be a good chance to take those messy actions with this one, then.
Yes, because I would encourage you to use this as your messy action so that you can, getting over that hump is key.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Chelsea, I know you just joined. We're wrapping up. I will be sending out the recording though. But if you've got questions, feel free to jump in. We're talking about breaking stuff down into small, manageable steps so that they're not overwhelming.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah, I remember paying attention to the time and realizing I had time and then forgetting to pay attention to the time. And so here we are. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I get that.
But no, I love that idea and that reminder, because I'm over here overwhelmed looking at my to-do list and trying to understand how to do everything.
So one thing I will say is that that might be helpful for you, just breaking down. I'm going to jump over to a part of the presentation real quick.
Okay, thank you.
So a big part of getting stuff done is understanding how your energy ebbs and flows. So
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like if you know that you work best in the morning and you have the best focus in the morning, if you're able to have your high focus tasks, whoopsie, wrong slide. High focus, high energy tasks in the morning, that would be great. And so a step for you might be to figure out, can I match my energy with the task? What would it look
Yeah.
like? Put those in buckets.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
The example I gave earlier was that for me, I'm high energy Sunday through Wednesday typically. That's also why I usually do master classes on those days of the week. They're easier for me. I'm usually pretty hyper. Today I'm hyper. Thursday through Saturday, I'm exhausted. Like, I'm done. So those are days I typically do focus on my low energy tasks. I'm doing my administrative work for my accountant. I'm replying to emails that I've been avoiding. I'm working through admin, paying bills, those types of things. I have clients along the way, but I don't schedule my high strategic creative work for those days. So I protect my time, usually Sunday through Wednesday, to do a lot more of creative stuff. And then Thursday and Friday is lower energy.
I see. What if your schedule is really overwhelming? For instance, today I had meetings from 9 a.m. until, I don't know, maybe 4:30.
That's a long day. Just to-
5, yeah. Well, I would say a lot of them were double bookings, so I don't even. I mean, today's not common, but it is usually a lot of meetings. Like I maybe have 2 hours of time segmented over a day, and I think that's what also makes it hard to even section time that way.
Yeah. And so I think when I was in corporate, I did not have control over my time the way I do now.
Yeah.
And I acknowledge that. But what I ended up having to do is that if I did have very long meeting days, eventually I'd get to the point where, I could look 2 weeks out and say, okay, I have meetings all day Wednesday and Thursday. I know Friday morning, I'm going to be dead to the world and my inbox is going to be slammed. So I'm blocking off some time ahead of time in preparation for me to A, to recover, but B, to also catch up on work. So if you can do that in advance, that's great. But if you can't and you're, well, I don't own my own calendar. I have clients who they don't own it. And so what we have to pivot to is giving yourself space before and or after work and figuring out how to save energy throughout the day so that all your energy isn't spent at work or in your business.
Yeah.
So
I think it's probably more like that, but I also think I do try to block off some time, and sometimes it actually gets honored, but I think thinking about how I manage my energy before. Things that I'm not doing right now are going to the gym, which helps me get my mind moving and gets me up and out beforehand. And so those are things that might help me now, even if it seems like it takes more energy. So I think it's a mixture of both.
yeah. And that's an important thing to know, what boosts your energy and what doesn't. We didn't dive a lot into that tonight. And that's an important point. If you know that something drops your energy, but you also know that certain things raise it, prioritizing, to Chelsea's point, doing those activities that raise that energy. It's really important. Your small thing with your, not small thing, but the big thing with the task list, I want to say, is, do you do a weekly plan?
No, not right now. Everything's so much chaos that I've lost that view ahead, that week or two view ahead. And so I just dive blindly and backwards sometimes into my week.
And how's that working?
Not great. It kind of feels like being tossed in the dryer or something.
That's such a beautiful illustration. I love that so much. I hate it, but also, yes. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Now I'm stuck in that illustration. Okay. So what we do know about peak performers and people who are able to work at a really high level is that they know what their goal is. They know what habits will get them there. And they also focus on identity-based habits. And I say that because when we go through the motions every single week of the same thing and we feel like life is living us versus us living life, we're not living in a way that works for us. We're going to get burned out because we're constantly, trying to be perfectionists, but also just trying to do it all. And at some point, you fall, right? So we want to figure out ways that we can bucket stuff off, that we can prioritize, and that we can have a little bit more control. And the key word here, though, is actually intentionality around how we plan our days and our weeks. So if you're able to slowly start planning out your week in advance, that's a big thing. And there are three main questions that I would ask myself if I was new, especially ongoing, but if I was new to planning out my week or haven't done it in a while. One is what worked this week and what did not work this week. Two is what will I keep, start, continue, and modify? And number three, what are my top 3 priorities for this week to focus on? Because we often focus on our to-do list and not on what worked and what did not work. And so by asking yourself those questions, you can start to learn, to Chelsea's point, what worked this week is I prioritized going to the gym and exercising twice this week, and that worked really well. What did not work is that I forgot my water bottle every time, and so I've been dehydrated for 3 days, speaking from personal experience. But those are the questions I would ask before even just trying to manage my task list. What is working? What is not working?
Yeah, I think that's helpful because it also kind of pulls the reflection in of things that aren't servicing so you can let them go. And I think that that's also not happening because I'm definitely getting exhausted and burnt out. And it, it's just, ruins everything.
We don't want that.
Yeah. And I like that framework also because it pulls you back into focus, not just on all the things that need to get done, but I guess kind of identifying the glass balls and the rubber balls and then the things that are going to help push forward versus get in the way.
That's right. Because we can get really stuck on what we feel like is right in front of us with a fire. And if we take the time to plan, we can be more intentional about what we let become a fire to us. So what kind of work do you do, Chelsea, if you're okay to share?
Well, I just left strategy and management consulting with focus on marketing, which is its own version of tumbleweed, but I'm just coming back into media strategy, planning, and buying. So
that's awesome. I did marketing communications for a long time and worked in and out of agencies and corporate agencies and all that fun stuff. So
okay, yeah. So I'm at a media agency. So it's a crazy time. We work out, just transitioned.
I would imagine. So.
Cool. Yeah. So there's no process. So that's also not helping.
What'd you say?
So there's no process anywhere. So that's also not helping.
Oh, wow. I just got lines. I, as a side note, and then I will let y'all go unless you have other questions. I'm speaking at a virtual and in-person wellness event in Asheville on the 14th. And oh my gosh, that's soon. Anyway, so I say that because of what I'm supporting is saying that workflows that work for staff are a form of wellness and making sure they have the tools they need to succeed is a form of wellness support.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it is, yeah.
Yeah. You can have pedometers all you want. You can have diabetic screenings all you want. You can have free mammograms, which are important too. But if your staff doesn't have the tools or a system to follow, that's like Stressville Central. So I understand that for sure. Cool. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to hit on before I let y'all go? No? Okay. Thank you for coming tonight. If you have questions about the Achievement Lab, I'll be sending out an email that has information on it. Again, if you are interested in the Achievement Lab since you came to the masterclass, or if you're listening to this recording, you can get 20% off of it until Friday. So let me know. Otherwise, have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming.